Number 50, shared my list. I did it. A little less than a year ago, I started this list. I was in bed and waiting to die. I felt like the world would be better off if I wasn't in it. I got out of bed and took the first step. It wasn't easy. It's not what I wanted. I kicked and screamed the whole way. I would tell Rob that I wasn't doing it for me, that I was only doing it for him or Molly, and he'd smile and say, "Oh, okay, I'm okay with that. I don't care who you do it for, as long as you do it." And I would hate him even more, the beautiful, gentle, supportive, loving bastard. I spent the year essentially yelling, "I hate this. Just know that I'm unhappy." And my support team would nod their heads and say, "Okay, that's fine. Do it anyway." Or worse, they'd say, "You don't have to do it," which would put my competitive nature into freaking overdrive. "Oh, hell yeah, I'm going to do it, you bastards. I'm going to do it hard. I'm going to crush it. Don't you tell me what I'm capable of. I'll show you," which got me to number 50, which got me to turn 51, which got me to turn 51 healthier than I've ever been, productive, which I've never been, living life in a way I have never lived, dressing like I've never dressed, participating like I've never participated before, and stronger than I've ever been, and brave in ways that I never imagined. I'm sharing my list. I'm swinging for the fences. I'm putting a small part of my story out there so that others will see that it's possible to get out of bed. I want others to see that it's the tiny little moments that heal us. It's not grand epiphanies, but the tiny choices we make each day to step out of our comfort zone, which, let's face it, it's not that comfortable. It's the tiny steps that grow us and change our mindsets and build new muscle memory. I can hardly remember what I felt like last year. I can hardly remember what it was like to be that person. I like this version of me so much better. I had rules and held myself to standards that I would never hold anyone else to. Life is too short. It deserves to be lived. You deserve to live. Stretch yourself. Pick something scary and go do it. You don't even have to tell anyone. You don't have to make a list, but if it will help you, by all means. I tutor at an elementary school. I was talking with a second grade girl about a character in a book she was reading to me. I talked about how the character was quite brave and asked the girl if she is brave too. The girl looked at me sadly and said no. I told her how old I was and that for my birthday I decided to do 50 brave things. I asked her how old she was, and she was turning 8. I suggested she do 8 brave things that year. She jumped at the chance and said that she was going to an amusement park later that day and would go on a certain ride she was scared of. She asked if it counted if her mom went on it with her. Being brave doesn't mean being alone. Just getting on the ride is brave. You could have 100 people on it with you. It does not minimize what it took for you to get on that ride. Are you brave? Are there areas of your life where you are keeping yourself small? How old are you? Challenge yourself with a list. 1 brave thing for every year you've been on this earth. Achieve it before your next birthday. I promise you that with each step you will grow in ways you never imagined. Sometimes bravery is realizing what you are capable of. Episodes of Broken to Brave are released every Tuesday and Thursday. Thank you so much for listening and for joining me on this journey of healing and growth. If you want to go deeper into this story and hear it from a spouse's perspective, my husband and I have a Patreon-only show where we have an extended, behind-the-scenes discussion of every episode, which also posts twice a week. Here's a sample of our latest Patreon-only companion podcast. There are lots of ways that kids try to tell when they're not allowed to tell.
Right.
And sometimes people listen, but most of the time I that wasn't accurate for me.
Right.
And so the behavior things, or, a lot of the things that I chose in how to act out ended up backfiring on me and making my life even harder. So this was my chance to say, you know what? I can't do that anymore. I can't live under their rules anymore. I can't. I was a child trapped in a grown ass woman's body.
Right.
And I didn't recognize that I was a grown up who had choices and who could say things and could tell her story and whatever. And so writing it, I was like, okay, let me see if I could go around my story. And then I would be like, okay, this isn't working,
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, that's not telling the story, and that's not me. And that, and so then I was like, okay, let me think. And when you have an episode like Called My Mom, how do you I can't not name her. I can't say,
Right.
oh, I had a really hard time calling my friend.
We'll just call them X.
Right.
And I had a hard time calling X.
Because there's no way that would have the impact that it has.
When it wasn't being truthful.
And it wasn't being honest.
If you can't name things. Now, granted, like, we left a lot of names of individuals out.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. That's one thing. But people got the impression, okay, it's somebody close to you,
Mm-hmm.
or it's somebody. That's good enough. When it came down to things like Called My Mom,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot get around I'm calling a parent.
Right. Well, and when I know how many people in the world have difficult relationships with their parents, and I'm like, how do I not say this? Because this could help somebody else who goes, oh my God, somebody else feels like that. It's
almost like telling them they should be shamed that they don't don't have the relationship.
Right.
If I can't admit it, it's that same thing. And it's not that you'd be wrong for that, but it's that same place where it's like, I've been hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I see you've been hurt, but I'm better than you. I'm not going to say it. Or not even that I'm better. You should be ashamed to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't say it.
Yeah.
Even though that's not what you're saying, they might feel that way. And in this case, they might feel like, there's a reason she didn't name names. I shouldn't either.
Right.
But that's not the message.
No, that's not the message.
The message is they should be honest. And
yes.
you had to fight through to be able to be honest about it. Not that you didn't want to be honest. You had to get past those.
I wanted to be honest. I didn't want them to hear it. I didn't want it to get back to her. I didn't want.
Well,
there are so many things. I don't want to hurt anybody, and I, and I was at the time, especially, I was desperate to fix it. I my whole life I've been desperate to fix it, and there's nothing to fix because there's nothing there.
Right.
And when you're in a one-sided parent-child relationship, that's really freaking hard.
Right.
And so I was like, how do I not say this? And how do I say it in a way that doesn't I didn't want to slander her,
No,
I didn't want to
exactly.
I didn't want to be cruel.
And I think you've done a good job
but God, it was hard. It's
humanizing
really hard.
and saying, okay, people have their faults and this is it. But my experience led to these things.
And with this one, if anyone saw the movie Tangled, that movie about did me in. When I saw the scene with Mother Gothel when she left and Flynn helped Rapunzel get out of the tower, and she was swinging and going, wee, and then she's crying in the
she
corner,
was going back and
forth, then
yes.
she's swinging again, and then she's crying. That was me. And that's been me most of my life, because I have literally been trapped and going, I'm supposed to trust this person. I'm supposed to trust these people. To hear the rest of this episode and get other exclusives, become a patron to Broken to Brave at patreon.com. You can also follow my blog at brokentobrave.com for even more insights and engaging content. Links are in the show notes. Broken to Brave is a production of Southgate Media Group, hosted and written by me, Martha Southgate. Thank you so much for listening. Now go do something brave.